Hello, welcome to another Q&A for the 2025 San Francisco Independent Short Film Festivals. We have a lot of filmmakers here. Hey, filmmakers, how you doing? This is the Q&A for the shorts program Little Monsters. I'm Jason Willis, one of the programmers here at SF Indie Fest, and this is great. It's so good to have all you filmmakers here. Let's put your name to your movie. Tell us, I'll go around the room, introduce yourself, your name, and your role on your film. Emily, I'll start with you. I'm looking at you first. What was your role in your movie?
Hello, my name is Emily Vale. I was the post-production supervisor and colorist on the literary work of Imaginary Poets. I'm here representing my director, Taylor Burbridge.
Good to have you. Welcome. Caroline, how about you next?
Hi, everybody. I'm Caroline Cotter. My film is Freak Job, and I'm a co-writer and the lead of the movie, also representing the other co-writer and director, Langan Kingsley.
That's right. I thought I recognized your face. Good to have you here. Hey, Luke, how about you next?
Hi, I'm Luke Krieger. I'm the writer and director of The Print in the Woods.
Excellent. Dennis, am I saying your name right?
That's right. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Dennis. I'm the co-writer and director and editor for the film The Mirror.
Welcome. Sarah, you next, please.
Yep. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I produced and co-wrote and art directed the film The Mirror with my friend Dennis.
Right on. Good to have you here. And Ali, last but not least.
Yeah, I'm the writer, director, and one of the actors in The Pearl Comb.
Oh, right on. What part do you play? I don't remember.
Yeah, no one ever recognizes me because classic showbiz. Because I have a fake mustache on, but I play the doctor.
Got
the
it.
doctor who kind of gets it. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
excellent. Well done. Good performance.
Cheers.
And spooky ass movie. What was the inspiration for it?
There was two inspirations for the Pearl Comb. One is the Mermaid Tales of Cornwall, which is real folklore. And then the other one was, there's a true story about the Edinburgh Seven, who were the first seven female doctors in the UK who qualified. And the general public and the medical profession did not want them practicing medicine. So I kind of mixed the two together and kind of came up with a new tale.
Fantastic. Yeah, wonderful tale. How about the mayor, team mayor, Sarah, Dennis? What was your start to your film? How did it come about?
Yeah. It was also inspired by folklore. I kind of wanted to make something. I'm from Ukraine, so I wanted to make something that represents Ukraine in some way and bring it into film. So I kind of brought a bunch of folklore tales into this one. There are homages to it all over the place. However, if you don't know them, you might miss them, or maybe you'll be inspired to learn a bit more and look it up. But also, I worked with Sarah to kind of make it less historical kind of representation, bring it more into the place where I live right now, which is California.
Excellent. Sarah, you want to add to the question or the answer?
Yeah, there was a specific image from Ukrainian folklore that Dennis shared with me very early on in the project of the Mavka. The Mavka is this incredible amalgam of, you know, think of all these like tragic stories that you might imagine. She's kind of part an adult woman who's died and had a tragic life, kind of like a Willie, if you're familiar with that from other folklore traditions. In some tales, she's also a baby. She's a baby that's been abandoned. And so we wove a lot of that into some of the writing, but also some of the imagery that we were exploring in the film.
Luke, it seems like a natural segue to you next with this, since we're talking about folklore and stories and stuff like that. Speak about your
Yeah,
film.
I grew up watching like Bigfoot shows and stuff like that, and so I kind of wanted to tap back into those memories and create my own sort of like cryptozoology short film. So yeah.
You saw that the 1970s kind of like monsters movie where they discover the Loch Ness monster and they see Bigfoot in the woods and those kind of
Yeah, exactly. Like in line with that for sure.
right. And how about Freak Job? No folklore, but monsters in the audition.
Yeah,
Process?
exactly. And folklore in a way, in that it's about, actors in Los Angeles, which for some people is the scariest thing of all, me included. So unfortunately, it is based off of my real experience. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I had the privilege of auditioning for and working for a haunted house.
Ah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where like all starving actors go to support themselves in between jobs? It seems like it's a good.
Yeah, some people I learned make a kind of career out of the scare actor lifestyle, is what I'll call it. Mhm.
Well, I appreciate them going to those haunted houses. Emily, how about you? How did your film get inspired, come to be?
It really started with just like the general conversational thing of being too scared to tell someone how you actually feel. And kind of tying that in with poetry, because I think we see a lot of poets that tend to write their feelings in the form of poetry, and kind of intertwining that conversation in the poetry throughout the entire film.
And was there a specific reason why you wanted to make a short film? This film,
Um,
Emily?
I think, I mean, it definitely is on the longer side of a short film, but I think
Right.
it
So why didn't you do a feature film? Like, did you know a lot of filmmakers like I got to make a feature film, or did you say I want to make a short film?
I think in this situation, it ultimately came down to budget and timing and all of that stuff. But also, I think in a way, the timing kind of works itself out in a short film. And I think it would be a little bit too dragged out if it was a feature. But yeah,
Agreed. Agreed. There are too many Hollywood films or films we see in the movie theaters that should have been a short film, right?
exactly.
Uh, and there's something to a short film too. It's just that a short film is its own art form. Um, Caroline, talk about that. Yours, it's just all these films as a short are complete and just right. They shouldn't be anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally, I agree. And Langan and I have a full script really for this short, like a longer kind of episodic script. But the more we thought about like making it a reality, we're like, oh, this is kind of the most fun. The audition is the most fun part of all of this, and it feels like it's also something that we can explore and have fun with and like kind of heighten in a short film. So we found that to be great for us.
Yeah. And also three other films too, because as a complete short film, I mean, they are complete, they're whole, they are satisfying to the end. It's like you can walk away going, I am full, I am satisfied, as opposed to if you dragged it on. Luke, talk about that. I mean, yours feels like, you didn't extend it, you didn't overindulge.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on like the subject matter on like what direction you kind of want to expand it onto. I think like with mine, uh, maybe there would have been room to go further into like the main character's backstory and like how he got to be so obsessed with everything. But I think like it's exists in a nice little like perfect nugget of that world. And extending it too far in either direction, I think would do it a disservice.
Yeah. Like I didn't go see that other kind of Bigfoot family film that was a feature length recently. I don't know if you heard about it.
Oh, I think I did hear about this one. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I
like
don't think
animated or something.
no, no, it's not.
Oh,
Yeah, another discussion another time, but I think it didn't do well. It was a feature-length film.
hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard about that. Anyways, I digress. Ali, how about you? Nice, satisfying, short film. What's your
Yeah,
running time? Your running time's like 20 minutes or so?
mine is 20 minutes, so it's edging towards the longer side. My first short was only 12 minutes, but one thing I noticed on the festival circuit is quite often I feel a lot of shorts have a great premise but not a great ending. And that was a thing I was very conscientious of, particularly after my first short. And I think you really, you need to go out with a bang, or it's certainly easier if you can go out with a bang. I mean, it depends what genre you're within. And I was at Holly Shorts recently, and I heard one of the other filmmakers there, he had an interesting idea that a short is about an event and a feature is about the characters. And it's just saying what Caroline was saying a second ago. It's like you know, the auditions and like one of the main events of the whole thing. So it's a great thing you can turn into a short. Whereas mine is basically, it is an interview. You know, a guy's come to interview this woman, and you want to know what happens at the end.
Yeah, yeah. And how about Sarah and Dennis? You know, satisfying, complete story for you guys as well?
Yeah, very interesting because my previous shorts were a little faster paced. And then as I was shooting this one, I felt like it needs to be slower because the mood that I wanted to evoke is this gothic mood. Not gothic in a sense of you know, dress up, but gothic in a sense of how it makes you feel. And for this to develop, you need to take time because the idea is to keep building tension over time, not jump with it. And as I was also shooting it, one of the people on the crew said, you know, take it slower because nature is slow. So you have to be slow with nature together to make it get in under your skin. So it is on the longer side. It's also 20 minutes. You know, sometimes it bites me back, but it feels like I need this time to tell the story.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's appropriate. I think that's one of the positives, if you will, of your film. That pace, that texture, is part of the haunting. The moodiness. I mean, for me, it was. It was like, this is getting underneath my skin because of how you're controlling storytelling.
Yep.
Yeah, and then other films, you know, that get submitted to film festivals, that could be their detriment, where they're too long or they're too slow, and it's like, this is a short film festival. Get to it. You don't have that much time.
Yeah, I mean, we shot a lot more footage and then cut it down to 20 minutes.
Good job. You gotta cut your darlings, as they say, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Many darlings.
So, Sarah, do you want to answer this question, or I'll go to the next question?
I just wanted to, I love the idea of that you shared, Ali, of this is an event. I think thinking back on the editing process, which I got to sit in on with Dennis, and to think about how do we want to end this? And we, as part of this process, we also took it back to maybe there's more that we need here. And so we did principle, and then we came back and we were like, I think we need more to really bring this story in particular to the climactic and also kind of emotional payoff that we had both envisioned. So he and I took it back, and I did more work. I built more things to do some reshoots. So that was great. That was interesting and a huge learning experience.
So that was not your ending in the script as originally penned? And you kind of were open to the collaboration, the creative process in production, and found a better ending.
Yeah, this new ending, the interesting bit that happened in the editing room is we used to initially we would tell the story of the two main characters, Belle and Will, to the end, and then we had a conclusion for them at the end. However, here we actually flipped it around a little bit, and the final note and the final conclusion actually became for the character of Mavka in this film. So there's an interesting flip of the main character kind of halfway through that leaves the audience hopefully wondering what actually happened and what part of this was real and what part of this was imagined.
Same kind of thought to the other filmmakers. Any discoveries during production along the way, or did you realize your script as intended from the get-go? Raise your hand. Go.
Sorry, I just went for talking immediately.
Yeah, go for it.
But we we had obviously, you know, a script that we were happy with, and then myself and a bunch of the other actors we had are improvisers, and so we really kind of let it get off the rails on the day of the shoot in a very fun way, and it really influenced our final product because it ended up kind of exploring that kind of like spontaneous stuff we had versus like exclusively sticking to the scripted script.
And that's part of the joy of your film. I remember what a pleasure it was to watch because of that improv, right? And unscripted stuff. Who else wants to speak to this?
I would also say my director, Taylor, on the opposite end of that, she was very intentional with everything that she had going into it. And I think especially because it was centered around so many poems, she had already selected which poems she wanted for at which point in the story. And so I think When we got to the cutting room, it was pretty straightforward, which I think we're very grateful to say.
Yeah.
But I think it ultimately is because of our director and how she had been planning it for months, and I almost think years at that point. But I think, yeah, again, having it around poems that have already existed for so long, it was super
Well,
straightforward.
if I remember correctly, both your film and The Pearl Comb, those seem like the script was fully baked and came out ready, because it just seems like that was the case.
Yes, yeah, it definitely was. Our actors, I think they did add their own twists to it, but at the same time, it was still very like script to screen was pretty much 1-to-1.
Very cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of it depends on your genre. Because say, like, if you are doing a comedy and you've got great improvisers, you're never going to get something as good as people riffing in the moment, But unfortunately, The Pearl Comb is a tightly plotted thriller, and I've got so much exposition to sort of get through in the first scene and I've got to find a sort of a sexy way of doing it where you don't feel like you're giving too much info, but I'm giving tons of info. So it had to be tightly plotted. It's a little bit like an Agatha Christie. The audience needs to know this, and this, otherwise they're screwed, basically. Yeah. So I always think, like, with a thriller, I have to keep it tight, but what I did do is I did have the benefit of rehearsing with the actors. Sometimes you don't always get that luxury, but we did rehearse at my flat, and we ran all the scenes and tweaked them there and then we went and shot it. But we didn't veer from it once we got going.
Yeah. You inspired my next question, but let me have Luke answer this question too. How much did you realize your initial vision?
I think I went through a lot of different rewrites with the script. Like the early versions of the script were a lot darker and kind of had sort of a downer ending, and I kind of wanted to end it more on like a more comedic, like positive note. So there was a lot of change in that. But as far as like production went, we did a lot of pre-planning because we were shooting in the woods and only had like a day to shoot all those scenes. And so like trying to keep everything super tight with the planned out shots was pretty important. So there wasn't like a ton of wiggle room there. There was some like filler shots that we needed just to like make the timing like David's character in it is like, going throughout the woods. And so we sent him off with my DP Brian to like shoot some improv stuff. So he came up with some funny things in the woods, but otherwise, yeah, it was pretty tight.
Right on. And so the question that you made me think of, Ali, and all your films have great acting, really good acting, really, at the very least, committed cast members, really devoted to playing the part. Caroline, you're one of the actors. Ali, you're one of the actors. So talk about it. Maybe casting, I'll ask everybody this too. Like, how was the casting process? How was the actor-director relationship, etc.? Caroline.
Oh, God, you go.
Sorry. For the casting process, we were lucky to get a bunch of our friends who we all perform at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, both in New York and Los Angeles. So a lot of the actors we had, like Alex Song, Jaquise Neal, James Dwyer, all came from that world. And then the more specific, there's some very specific characters. Like we got a man who a lot of his career is playing Santa Claus. So that was a really fun process to go through those auditions and find the best actors for the role. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Right on. Cool. Ali, you want to talk?
Well, for me, it was a combination. So our lead is Beatty Edney. She's a very well-known TV actress. And her mother is actually Sylvia Sim, the movie star from like the 50s and the 60s. So she was a direct offer. She was like our big player, And but she used to be in a British TV series where she played a Cornish fisherman's wife. So he was quite an easy, can we get the woman who's known for doing that to do it again? So that was easy. And then the guy who plays her husband, Simon, he was the lead in my previous short film. And he's just a great actor, and we just love him to bits. So I was just itching to work with him again. The hard bit in my short was trying to find someone to play a mermaid, which was unbelievably tricky because it's just very hard to find someone who sort of looks like a mermaid, can be a mermaid, and we were trying to avoid the kind of Disney teen drama mermaid vibe as well. We wanted like a vicious, evil mermaid.
Yeah.
And in the end, we just did self-tapes, and Clara Paget played her, and she's got a very striking look, and she was just very good at being very alluring and terrifying. And I think she just had that quality.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. You found the mermaid.
Yeah.
Nailed it for sure. Who would like to go next talking about your actors, the casting process?
I want to jump in because Ali is talking about the mermaid, and we also have kind of a woman from the lake, and the casting process was quite tricky. And I think the interesting bit for us, casting specifically the Mavka character who lives in the lake, was to find someone who can kind of represent many things, because in one telling of the story, she's a child, she's killed as a child, and then she kind of comes back still to her men. It's a very interesting twist on the story. And then in another telling, she is more adult, and then she's kind of also lives in the lake, but also lives in the woods. It's like many combinations. So we're casting for a long time, for about half a year at least, maybe for this kind of character was about half a year, and then found this actor, Andrea, in LA, and she also happened to be from Eastern Europe, so she was very excited to also explore this part of the folklore from this part of the world. And then for the other actors, we kind of cast all over the place. Our main lead, Lex, she's from Portland, and she just happened to be in town, and on her own backstage, had a coffee with her, and she was very committed as well. And she's the lead, and she has an absolutely fantastic kind of pensive look, just like staring in some distance, looking at something that we don't even see as an audience. And that was very striking. And then the other actors from this area. So we kind of cast all over the place, full.
Well, you must have been very patient.
Oh, it took a long time to develop this, but I was really looking for people who can do the role its justice.
Yeah, you found them too. Then it makes sense now why you're so patient. You found the right ones. Someone else talk about it. Luke, how about you finding your cast?
Yeah, so I have a friend of mine who's like a Bay Area artist. His name's Skinner, and he designed like the creature costume for it. And he has like an interest in acting and had worked on a film with David Brown. I don't know if you guys have seen Jury Duty before. But he knew him and had read my script and was like, oh, I think he'd be really good for this. So we sent him over the script, and David really enjoyed it. He's from Idaho, which there's a lot of Bigfoot stuff over there. And so he was like super down to be part of it. And super great guy to work with, super funny. But it was pretty quick from there. Like I had already planned to have Skinner act as the creature in it, just because we already had him there. We could get all of his sizing and whatnot taken care of. And then he had brought in David for the project.
Right on. Emily, did you? I know you weren't maybe involved with the casting, but when you were editing the performances.
I mean, I do know a bit about the casting process. Pretty much every single actress that was on this film was either brand new to acting or very early in their career. And I think Taylor's vision for having multiple different Parkers, there was multiple different characters playing Parker. She really wanted to include as much diversity in the actresses that we were casting in that process. And our casting director, Celeste, really took that and ran. And I think it's so crazy how many, everyone is different on set, and because it was all women led, it was just, it was a very comfortable space for all of these actresses to bloom. And yeah, it was really great. And then I think, coming down to the editing of the performances, I mean, like I said, from script to screen, everything was 1-to-1. And I think all of those actresses really took their role and ran with it. And it was really, really beautiful how it turned out.
Sarah, do you want to add to this one topic before we move on?
Sure, I'll speak a little bit on casting, but not of the talent in that sense. As the art director, I think we were I had this challenge of like, in talking with Dennis, like he had an idea of creating something truly fantastical, and where indie budget filmmakers, we didn't have a lot of money to make this happen. And so what, Luke spoke about, finding creative folks who can build the world for you, as part of costuming, as part of makeup and hair. That was a real joy of this process for me. I found a really talented costumer through the San Francisco Bay Area theater scene that I was that I've been involved with, who was just really excited to take on something where she could let her imagination go wild. And we got really excited during the process of pre-production and obviously during the set, during the shoot, making changes on the fly to kind of create that vision of something ethereal, something out of the world. So yeah, not so much about the actors, but it's been a really awesome process. Casting the other talent.
Yeah, Victor, on you. Sarah? I'll ask this of each of you. Our last question. What's your favorite moment, or an anecdote, or a takeaway? Something you've learned from this project? Anything you want to share?
I'm just absolutely. I was floored by, and you mentioned yourself, Jason, at the very beginning. Like, congratulations on making a film. Filmmaking is really effing hard, and there were so many moments during especially during the shoot, where we have some scenes which required a lot out of our team. Frigid water in the middle of the night. We had our key grip got in the water with one of our actors who can't swim very well, to kind of give her the courage to do these scenes that, were super ambitious. This is our first film together, Dennis and I. So there's been a lot of just kind of beautiful moments of like seeing people really united under trying to make something cool, trying to make something that that inspires them. So that's been a really beautiful highlight for this process.
Right on. Dennis, why don't you go next, since you're on the same film?
Yeah, I think like every filmmaker, we want to make films that transport our viewers to a new world, and this was kind of the bigger commitment into, in some cases, going out there, like incorporating real environment, shooting on specific location that also took a long time to find, and we kind of lucked out onto this particular place. But we really wanted to bring ourselves to this new magical world, and with it bring the audience on the trip. There was one scene that's at night with a fire, and as we were shooting it, it truly felt haunting, because it also just happened to be a full moon in the sky, and the scene itself is kind of, dramatic and menacing. And as we were just shooting it, the whole crew was standing there in awe of like, what are we, like, summoning something right now? So yeah, it was a very, very memorable experience. We also packed at some point 18 people into one house to sleep over just to shoot this location. So
one toilet.
One toilet, one shower.
That is a collaborative bonding moment. Yeah, excellent. Luke, you want to go next? Final comments?
Yeah, we did like a little crowdfunding campaign for the short, and that was kind of a learning experience of its own. But we did we did like a couple like public fundraising events, and it was really like rewarding to see how many people do want to support like indie film, and like came out and like saw it. And it was nice having like conversations with people about the movie like prior to making it. And then like just being on set, everybody was just so fantastic to work with. There's a part where David does this animal call, and our DP was like so close to him, and as soon as he started doing it, he just broke down laughing the entire time. So we had to do several takes of it, but it was just, everybody had a good time, and was a super rewarding experience.
Very cool. Emily, how about you? Takeaway, favorite moment, final comments?
I mean, similar to Luke, I think the biggest takeaway was that we made this project for almost little to no budget, and it was really beautiful to see all the resources and connections that really came through. This is all of our first film that we ever made outside of film school. So it was a huge learning experience not having a film school behind you making your film. And at the time, Taylor was making the move from Los Angeles to San Francisco, and I think this film really is her love letter to San Francisco, and it's how much it's blossomed to her daily life up there in the Bay. And I think that's how this film is going to live on with her and us.
Right on. Very cool. Ali, you want to go next?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of moments, but I think it was on our first day we were filming a scene where he discovers the mermaid, and then she jumps into a pool of water, and then she pops back out, and then she does kind of her little monologue, and she was really cold because she was standing in a lake basically, and it's the middle of November in Cornwall, and we were shooting her close up, and her first take was great, and she was just amazing. And then me and the DOP, we both went, yeah, I think this is going to be good. And then the first scene between Beatty and Simon playing the fisherman and fisherman's wife, they really genuinely felt like they were a married couple. They just had that brilliant chemistry. And of course, it doesn't matter how much you rehearse something like that, they kind of either have it or they don't. And, and when we're pretty much asking people for favors, will you do it? Will you do it? And we just shove them together. And the very first scene, it was brilliant. And and you were just like, oh God, I think it's going to work.
Nice.
So I think those were those two moments for me.
Yeah, right on. Magical. They did work. You were right.
Well, you never quite know, do you? So this is your husband, this is your wife, you're a mermaid. It's like you try your best, but you don't quite know until you're doing it. Yeah.
So true. It's so true. With leap of faith with imaginary filmmaking, telling stories. Caroline, finish us off here. Last but not least.
Thank you. Similar to what Emily was saying, this was my first experience like co-producing a short. I've acted in them before, but it's completely different to be on the other side, and it's just so interesting to see what everybody brings and like working on that collaboration aspect of it. And yeah, specifically Bridger Weingar plays kind of like the guy running the show, and we had a very specific vision for what that character would look like and be like. And he showed up to the day of the shoot with this like beautiful long Nicole Kidman-esque wig, and these clothes like falling off of him, which was like not what I had imagined at all. But it was so funny and made it, I think, like a million times better. And yeah, just like being surprised by choices people made was a really fun part of this.
Right on. Well, we loved all your films. We're grateful that you made them, like I said, and that you submitted to the San Francisco Independent Short Film Festival. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right on.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for watching. That's been
Thank
another
you.
Q&A for the San Francisco Independent Short Film Festival. Check out more great indie films at sfindie.com. Thank you for supporting independent cinema. Bye, everybody.